They would give a fuck enough to actually do something, but they would also be capable and competent of getting me out of a tight spot.
And then you have a major crisis, and all of a sudden the bank wants its money, and you're completely fucked. And it's just the most heartbreaking thing in the world.
If you're listening to this and if you're like a massive EOS fan, just approach stuff like this with caution, because we talk about these stocks and and Christoph really does his due diligence. Like you've said many times, this is like the company you have spent more time on than almost any other endeavor in your life.
Unless something broke, I'm not going to be panicked because I understand more deeply. And so that's not a small point.
Welcome to the Deep Investing Jungle with your hosts Luke the Badger Hallard and Christoph the Monkey Piekarski. This is episode 100 and we are live streaming to our Patreons. Are you on your banana phone?
Ow! Ring, 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 ding, ding, ding. Call him Badger. Monkey, call him Badger.
I hear you loud and clear, Monkey. I got my beer phone here.
So look at that. 100 episodes. We sort of made it.
So we sort of made it. We have almost sort of made it. Like the podcast is going through an inflection. We've now got 3,000 subscribers on the YouTube, more than 1,000 on the Spotify's, and like a couple of hundred Patreons, and 99 of whom are actual paying Patreons supporting the show. And we might get number 100 like in the next hour, literally live while we're chatting. So I'm be watching the numbers creeping up.
I know you know why that's great. One, it's kind of magic. I mean, 100 episodes and potentially number 100 supporting us. That's just, I mean, if that's not the universe telling us something, then I don't know what. But I do want to make a point that we legitimately wanted to build a community, and you have to go slow, I think, to make it proper and to build it with the right foundations. And when we were talking about this a long time ago, I thought, 1,000 true fans is the mark of a real legitimate like thing. And so to get to 100, 1/10 of the way there, I think is a really amazing milestone, and it feels, happen and legitimate, and I couldn't be more proud. So huge shout out to all of the Patreons, whether you're slothies or capybaras or, whatever jungle critter you are. Thank you so much.
But a special thank you, I think, if you're here with us live on the live stream. Due to the eccentricities of our platform, I can't see everyone's here unless you give us like a wave or drop something to say hello. But a definite big hello to Barry, Eric, and Paolo, who have all given us a wave already on the live stream. And we're expecting a bunch of jungle animals to join us live today.
Esatmundo.
Christoph, we have been podcasting together since October 2022. Did you know that?
October 22. Oh, right. 7 investing days.
Yeah. That's 3 years. We're like 3 years podcast buddies.
That's right, man. Yeah, and we recorded quite regularly for 7 investing. That's where we kind of figured stuff out. You told me what to do, and I tried to do it like 20% of the time.
I had like my badgers sneaking into your office and then figuring out what company you were going to recommend, and then I could recommend it first, so I could get in there and steal your recommendation.
If I only knew how awfully that would have turned out for our purposes, I might have hung it up right then and there.
There you go. Yes. Yeah. Well, and that NVIDIA rec we both fought over is like 7 investing's big time best rec ever. I think 2 recs from me. So excellent. We did our bit. I know you were there in spirit, even if you didn't have the chance to recommend it yourself. But I don't know if you remember the very first episode 1 of No Limit with Christoph and Luke. Do you remember the first time we got on camera together?
I most certainly do not.
Well, let me give you all a little reminder with an extract from the very first Luke and Christoph episode 1. Hi, Christoph.
Hey, good morning, Luke, or good evening.
We're 12 hours apart. I'm currently in Thailand, and I guess you're in Austin, Texas.
It is kind of cool looking at the video, seeing my sun and your moon, the glow.
That's super romantic for our first podcast together.
Yeah, right.
Oh my goodness, love at first sight.
The romance
Love
from the
at
very
first sight.
beginning. Look at you, trying to melt my heart with your moon and sun comments. And look
Oh
how
my
young
God,
we
we were
look.
we were such babes. We were such babes. Oh my God.
Like I and my mum are both pleased that you're now a youth again, because you definitely had. You went into like a dark period. You know, it's like you're writing like your Black Album or something, where you had like the big frickin' beard, and you were living in a cave. So yeah, I'm glad you come back out and you've malted that like winter hibernation fur. My mum says he's so handsome. Why has he got that beard?
Mrs. Badger's uh, mom, or Badger's mom, the answer is a monkey needs to walk down the street without getting assaulted by all of the female baboons, doesn't he? So sometimes the beard, keeps him at a distance. It's a hard life being this handsome.
Hey, well, there we go. Well, Christoph, to get today's episode started, I don't know if you're familiar with quite a famous book, and I think it was like then a New York Times article, and it was called 36 Questions to Fall in Love. You familiar with that bit of journalism?
Yes. Uh, in my side gig as a therapist, uh, I don't know how many people know that, but I have a couple. I've over the years have a couple of consistent clients that I do therapy slash coaching slash spiritual mentorship because of my Zen practice. So yeah, I came across this book. It's great.
So, I'm going to ask you one or two of those 36 questions, and maybe you want to ask me a couple in return. Maybe we can deepen our moon and stars love live on the Patreon, live on the show.
Oh man, this is great. This is great. Uh, actually, yes, I want to ask you something, but it's so true. I have this thing, a side project of mine is think about toxic masculinity and how men don't have proper role models, and friendships between men are complicated because of our cultural assumptions and problems. And obviously that depends on where you're living, but I think we're doing the world a lot of good too by making this bromance live and unfiltered. So why not go with, to me, like straight to the heart of the matter? Badge, what do you value most about friendship or in a friendship?
So I was on ski season 2 years ago, and a bunch of my friends, some of the girls, introduced me to the 5 love languages. And it's like I'm an old guy. I'd never heard of that stuff. So I read about the 5 love languages. So, and I think my love language is acts of service out of the 5. Like I love doing stuff for other people and being like productive and helpful, and that's kind of my love language. So yeah, what do I value most in a friendship? Probably people who reciprocate in kind, like who go out of their way to do stuff and they show up for me. That's what I value most. If you're listening to this, Tom, you're one of my greatest friends, but you fucking never show up.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Somebody's in the hot water. I have a kind of similar answer to you. I always think living the monkey lifestyle that I do, that I'm only yay close to ending up, homeless and living under a bridge somewhere. It's just I'm always one poor decision away. And I always like to think like if I actually called somebody at 3 in the morning saying, well, monkey's done it again, would they actually pick me up, and give me a couch to sleep on? And there's a couple of friends that in my life that I know would, no questions asked, rescue me from whatever bad situation, and that does a lot to a man's nervous system, knowing that won't starve, and there'll always be a roof under their head no matter what.
I got my version of that. I had this conversation with a couple of friends a few years ago, and it's like if you were in a bad spot, and something's gone seriously wrong, and you get like one phone call. I'm not even talking like the phone call from the police station, like something is really seriously effed up. Like, who would you call? And it's got to be like a combination of they give a fuck. I'm going to forget with the effed up. We're now bleeping all the swear words out so we can say fuck as much as we like. They would give a fuck enough to actually do something, but they would also be capable and competent of getting me out of a tight spot. So I gave it deep thought to it, and I'm going to shout out one of my. She's the only remaining person in my investing WhatsApp of very close friends who is not a Patreon, but nonetheless, Dunya is my close friend. Duns is who I would call to get me out of a tight spot, because she is one capable MF lady.
Yeah, right. And sorry to maybe overplay this hand a little bit, but I think in the investing world, it is a kind of, or at least many people think of it as a zero-sum game, because someone's buying, someone's selling, and only one person is right kind of attitude. But investing in a group like we're trying to cultivate, and having a sense deeper down somewhere that these people are not out to get you, but we're here to pool resources, and when we say something, we're doing it with transparency and for the better, for the as friends would, and I think that's what's that's I think what's generally missing when you're an investor in stocks or whatever, and that's I hope a gap that we're starting to close at least a little bit. But it takes time, of course, right? I mean, you shouldn't be naive either. Like some of our new Patreons, might have found us through YouTube, only listened to a 2-minute short. They might not know, Baboon's ass from whatever other anatomical feature, and so it takes time to establish that rapport and trust. But we're doing it.
Good stuff. Well, let me hit you up with another one of the 36 questions to fall in love. I am intrigued about this answer. If you could wake up tomorrow having gained any one quality or ability, what would it be?
This is so hard because flying would be cool and so forth. But you know what the most instinctive answer I have? It would be to be world class. I mean, absolutely world class in every single last dancing style, so that no matter where I would go, whether it's at a concert or like nightclub or just walking down the street, I could like 1 minute ballet through, waft my way into a room, and then another like, do some crazy fucking hip hop thing, and then go walk up to a unsuspecting lady and just tango her across the coffee shop before she knew what was happening. I mean, that would be like, mwah.
Is it going to be like
And by the
Bill
way,
Murray? Is it like Bill Murray Groundhog Day style though? And you've had like literally like a 1,000 years of torture, but then you get to nail that day, or you just need to be, you're just like 007 everywhere you go.
yeah, no. I mean, this would be a superpower, right? So yeah, I mean, it'd just be amazing. But I don't know if you remember. This was no, of course you remember. But I think it was during 7 investing days, where you prepped for your really close friend's wedding, and you choreographed the the what's it called, the dance performance.
Yeah.
And it's when I saw that, I'm like, oh man, this is my man. This is like because it took what, like hundreds of hours or whatever, like.
Yeah. It's my love language, Christoph. Like I make an effort for people. It was a 5-man performance of the Backstreet Boys at my closest friend Albert, an ex-podcast buddy Albert's wedding in Hong Kong a couple of years ago. Yeah, that was pretty spectacular.
Yeah, it really was. It showed, I mean, because that shows heart and dedication and all the love. You want
Look,
to
I know
do
you.
you want to do one more question?
Sure, yeah, if you like. Why not?
All right. Uh, Given the choice of anyone in the world, whom would you want as a dinner guest?
I wondered if you'd ask me this one. I gave it some thought. I it took me a moment to make my decision about where I would go with this because honestly, not a trite answer. My genuine answer right now in this exact moment is like we're going to go to Vegas, hopefully March, and record some shit for the podcast. And I would like to have dinner with you because it's been like a year and a half since we had dinner. But in the spirit of the question, hey, we just got a heart from somebody. Yeah, yeah, do some emoticons. That's cool. In the spirit of the question, Demis Hassabis is who I would like to have dinner with, the CEO of DeepMind. Such an interesting guy. Like, I'd be entertained by Musk, and it'd be interesting to have dinner with a whole bunch of super public figures. Demis just seems like such a kind, thoughtful, incredibly smart individual, and I'd love to have dinner with him. And actually, funnily enough, I was at a poker game a few months ago, and one of my good friends, John, who's a bit of an intellectual, he's a good poker player. He actually went to Cambridge, and he went to Cambridge at the same time as Demis and another one of the sort of core members of DeepMind. So they got together apparently like last year, and he was showing me this photo. I said, "Oh, like DeepMind." We were chat about it when we were there, and he showed me a picture of him playing like foosball with Demis against two other guys. So like they're buddies. So I'm kind of jealous of John. Yeah, hook me up with a dinner date, John.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
Let me hit you back with this question before we move on from falling in love because I'm intrigued. Who would you do dinner with?
Yeah, I realized that I interpreted it very loosely. Somehow in my mind, I added like anyone at all rather than
Yeah.
living.
No, no, no. It's cool. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, but I'll give you my answer. I don't know if all our Patreons know, but I write a philosophy Substack called firephilosophy.substack.com. But an inspiration for that was the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche, which if you haven't read or maybe you've only heard about what he's about, you're boy, are you in for a treat. And I don't I don't know of too many people that I think had such extraordinary intelligence and focused it all on how to live the most like beautiful, intense life one could possibly live. And he walked the fucking walk in his own life. So like, and he was funny, and he would just like he had the courage of a I don't know bull or something. Like he was just unafraid to look at himself as deeply as one could possibly look at. And so, and yet in his real life he was actually kind of shy might not be the right word, but he certainly was not a bull at the dinner table. He was very kind and respectful. It was in his writing that he was an absolute genius and madman. And so having dinner with him, maybe after loosening him up a little bit with a few beers, I think, my God, like, especially if he kind of lived now and could comment on the madness that he foretold only 150 years ago, that would be my treat. So anyway, I write about Nietzsche and how to live over on Fire Philosophy. So check out Monkey's other shadowy life when he's not picking stocks, if you have any interest.
We stick a link to your fire philosophy Substack in every episode. So like, go check out the show notes, and you find a link to that. I'm going to say a quick hello to Andrew at
What's
Arctic
up, Andrew?
Fox. Just joined us. Excellent. Good to have you here, buddy. So you were chatting about your fire philosophy Substack, and I think you wanted to chat about a particular aspect of that on today's show.
Yeah, right. Cool. So I write that Substack with a retired professor of religious studies, Dale Wright, who was my idol when I was working on my dissertation. He's a Zen scholar. So I'm really fortunate to have that in my life, or him in my life. And he just wrote a 5-part series on courage. And we just, so we're sending it out in 5 segments. And just this morning, we published courage in terms of moral courage and intellectual courage, like what it means to sort of do something that requires a sacrifice on your end, but for the good of something, let's say, bigger than you, and also what it takes to sometimes say the one thing that everybody else is too afraid to say, right? And so we included this morning, when I was editing it, a picture of, I don't know if it's a world famous picture of Tiananmen Square, of that one guy standing in front of the tanks by himself, which captures just like what some people are capable of doing, and how rare that is. So, and connection to investing, I think if you're in this kind of game where losing happens all the time, and you have to often defend a position that seems indefensible, that takes brass balls of steel. And so I would love it if any of our members or listeners to this podcast checked out not just the Substack, but this particular series about courage. I hope you would find it as meaningful, impactful as I do. And it was written. This piece was written by Dale, not me.
Great stuff. I'll give it a read. I do read your Substack, but I'm a little bit behind. The courage has like a big translation into the world of investing, right? Particularly, I mean, you've got to have courage if you are. Let me just consult the live poll. So we have 6 members of Team Badger and 8 members of Team Monkey currently who've submitted. So if you're one of those 8 Team Monkey members, you need courage as an investor, right? Because you're invested in some freaking wild stuff.
Yes. Yes, some wild stuff that maybe is no longer as wild as it was when I first invested in it. But I would agree with that. The monkey path is not a path for everyone.
Yep.
Sorry, Badge, what were the numbers again right now? How many diluted souls do we have? Opting for Team Badger?
We got 6 Badgers and 8 Team Monkeys. And let me give a bit more of a breakdown, because we had a couple of questions in there. And so we had so Christoph he bitches and moans often about what we're now calling Badger bureaucracy, because we should talk later in the show about our process and how the podcast happens. But basically, I do all the work, and then he does a little bit of glamorous shit, and he kind of tarts up the language and makes it sound interesting and puts a couple of emojis, and that's him done for the week. So Badger bureaucracy, that's me nagging him about shit every day.
And for full transparency, do you know how hard it is to look this pretty? You think I could just show up on camera and I wasn't slaving for 3 hours off camera, putting on the blush and combing the eyebrows? Or what is it that Dolly Parton said? It takes a lot of money to look this cheap.
There you go. It's paid off. Well, so anyway, in our poll that I created just before the show, Badger bureaucracy, we're asking questions like do you record your rationale for every trade? Do you do your own due diligence? Got some 2s and 3s and 4s in there. So maybe some Team Monkey people bringing down the Badger bureaucracy scores. And then we also have the monkey madness questions. Not many of our respondents are using options. Yeah, good. Don't tread carefully into that world. Some folk are using technical indicators, but looks like out of all the questions in the monkey madness poll, legit crypto is my friend. A lot of people are down with legit crypto, and we just got another Team Badger. We're now 7 and 8. We'll come back to that 7 and 8 throughout the show.
Ooh, that's close. Yeah, that's close. Damn. Okay.
Wow. Paolo's just asked us, how much work goes into the podcast behind the scenes? Like, I'd ask you that, Christoph. How much work do I do behind the scenes?
Uh, Badger does a fair amount of work. This is true. I would never deny that one of your absolutely astounding best qualities, and this ties in with the friendship thing, is that you might be truly one of the most like effective or efficient, what's it called, director of puppets. I mean, you just get shit done. It's kind of amazing. You know, I've been an academic all my life, or you know, and so what I've learned to do is read a lot of books and then try to synthesize information. But in my mind, you know, I got 7 years, right, to get the PhD, or you know, it's this long and winding process. You worked in the corporate world, right, where like people are like, what? You got 20 minutes to whatever respond to an email, but your level of professionalism is just absolutely exquisite, and you go above and beyond, um, delegating stuff and sending off messages to people, and
I think it's a good combination. It's a good combination of like your inspiration and your ideas, and then me like executing them, right? And I took the piss a bit there about you doing nothing. You do a crap ton, and you're kicking my ass in the King of the Jungle. And you're an ideas guy, and we've got a few ideas we're going to share at the back of this call on how we could make the Patreon better for everybody. And like a lot of this stuff is Christoph chasing me and saying we got to do this, and I'm being like bureaucracy badger and saying it's too early, it's too early. But we'll come to that a bit later. But we do want your guys' opinion.
yeah, and to that point, actually, what makes a relationship work? It's not that we're opposites, because we're very bizarrely similar in terms of many of our interests and history and poker playing, and but I would say the quality that links the, call it the bureaucratic versus the wild creative, or whatever, the opposite side of orderly, let's say, is that I would go on record and happily say that both of us have very flexible and open minds to ideas that might not at first feel right or be right. Like, it's to your great credit that despite me kind of screeching at you, hey, there's this Patreon thing, it's something we should look into, that didn't take you that long to eventually say, oh no, okay, let's try. What's the worst that could happen?
I don't want to look like a fool, and I thought we're going to kick off the Patreon, and it's gonna be like you and me, and maybe like my mom, and like a few other family members, and that'll be it. But no, like it actually turned into something. So hey, you were absolutely right. Let me just crack on with it. Do you want to know about something else you were absolutely right about?
I always want to know what I'm right about.
I got a little bit of video to tee this one up. EOS Energy, which if you're a long time listener or even a recent listener of this podcast or our last podcast, you'll know has been Christoph's doom for much time.
Yeah, I think the proper exact term is my albatross.
So there you go. Like EOS Energy, I ripped you one hard for years, and I even said to you, like, stop talking about this freaking company because it's an embarrassment. Like, you did that at Seven Investing. Please don't turn our Wall Street Wildlife into like the EOS show. But fuck me, he pulled it off. Look, so, and I'll put that extract I pulled was from our predictions episode for the whole of 2024, and I'm just going to remind us of our predictions and kind of what happened. So in January 2024, one of our many predictions questions, I love the predictions episode, we should do those regularly. EOS at the time was a $218 million market cap, and I predicted it would halve to like $100 million. And I laughed at you when you said it was going to 3x to $750 million. Well, you kicked my ass, because at the end of the year last year, it was getting on for like $1 billion market cap. So you clearly won that bet. And I think I had to drink like a shot on the Christmas episode. But we give it another 9 months. What are we now? Like the back end of September. And now your prediction is like a 10x. So like this begs the question that the most critical question for all of our wallets and my option that you forced me to buy, like where is EOS going next, Wise Monkey?
All right, Badge. I have a long winding answer for this. Actually, I'll answer that. But first, can I give some context for those who might not be familiar with my story here? This is, without a doubt, the single one company that I became obsessed with to the point of kind of bizarre, I don't know how to say it, delusion, or no, obsession might be the word. And what allowed that to be possible is, I think, one of the greatest inventions of modern times, which is what I would call the live community that can happen through X, the platform X, because all of a sudden a few investors got together and started seeing what was possible, and then the whole spaces thing would happen, and then I would join the spaces and end up talking to people for hours. I mean, my God, like I mean, hours and hours every single day, live, thinking through, like, is this what we think it is? Blah 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 blah. I got to know people. I would talk to them on the phone. I mean, bizarre, almost like kind of out of this world uh, communication open up. Back to the EOS thing. Anyway, I became absolutely obsessed with this thing, and I I just ended up knowing a stupid amount, and then I lost a lot of money because I got too excited because things take longer than you think, and then I lost a whole plantation worth on call options that, even though I picked long dated ones, that still wasn't early enough. So let that be a lesson to you kids. But to get back to your question, the reason I was so excited about this is because this first 1,000% from when I bought at some shares at 70 cents to it's now $10.15. That first 1,000% is actually the hard part, because they had to survive all kinds of financial valleys of death. It's much easier to go from 10 to 20 than it is from 70 cents to 10. So given everything that's happening in the context of AI demand and energy demand, if we're talking 3 years from now, I would just absolutely not. I would be surprised if it's not a 10x from here.
Great. Yeah, a 10x from here, you're saying?
Wait, 10x from 10 would be 100, right? So that might take 5 years, but I would not be surprised. So, and that's important because some people, of course, might have been thinking, "Yeah, I'm too late. I missed the first 1,000%." No, you're not too late. There might be obvious like retraces and but 3 to 5 years from now, you're still way early if it does what I think it will.
Awesome. Yeah, I heard a really good quote on our friends, the Dividend Talk podcast, in their most recent episode. And if you caught like maybe 5 or 6 episodes, we were interviewed by Edgy and Derek on their podcast, and then Edgy came onto our podcast. So I listen to them regularly now, and I'm in their Discord. They're smart guys. And like Edgy said something in his recent podcast. I'm very strict on position sizing. It's my safeguard against my own stupidity. And I've always thought that way myself, because I chat about how I get into a position and get to like 1%, 2%. My full position is like 6%, and then like the really big allocations in my portfolio, like they got there by themselves by growing. And I've got my maximum, like 20%, no matter what, hell or high water. I don't want to have more than 20% essentially of like my net worth, because like my portfolio dominates everything I own on this planet, apart from my cat, who's invaluable. So like position sizing is the safeguard against my own stupidity. I definitely lean into that idea. Like we said on last week's episode 99, right? An asteroid could literally like hit EOS HQ and wipe out the leadership team. Like random ass stuff can happen. So that's why you probably don't want like a life impacting massive exposure, but you're running that massive exposure with your no longer albatross EOS, and you're making it work. But like if you're listening to this and if you're like a massive EOS fan, just approach stuff like this with caution, because we talk about these stocks and and Christoph really does his due diligence. Like you've said many times, this is like the company you have spent more time on than almost any other endeavor in your life, right? But he spent all that time, so he's gonna be like exposed to it because he's like put all that sunk cost of the time into it. You don't want to do all that research and then not own the frickin' stock. But if you guys are listening to him, you can't buy conviction. So do your own homework and size your position appropriately, because I'm afraid I'm going to do like the badger like warnings once again, even though this is like a party episode. Who knows when this merry-go-round stops, but when it does, it's going to be ugly.
Yeah, and you can't borrow conviction. I mean, that's so important because the moment something starts dropping, panic takes over, and if you don't truly understand what I think I understand, it's going to be tempting to sell. But I'm not going to, unless something broke, I'm not going to be panicked because I understand more deeply. And so that's not a small point. I think, same kind of thing is happening over with ASTS, is that it's a similar sort of dynamic, which I absolutely love. So, props to Stephen for kind of poking us about ASTS, though I myself had already done a bunch of research on it. I just wasn't as sort of like aggressive about adding to it yet. But that's another one of these companies that you could research the hell out of it, in part because there's this amazing community on X made of engineers and professional investors and this little conglomerate that you just can't get enough of the info. And so that if you want to spend hundreds of hours building this conviction, that I would highly recommend looking into that stock for that reason.
Great stuff. Very good. All right. Well, what's up next on our docket, Christoph?
Well,
Monkey's Owl pop quiz.
Yeah, that segment actually segues very nicely into a pop quiz I have for our listeners and for you. But if you're listening, you can answer in the chat box. So, pop quiz.
I'm stealing myself. I've got my favorite beer, which is Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. I know it's like a cheap-ass American beer, but I really like this stuff. So I'm opening one of these for the pop quiz.
Excellent. All right. So I got a question for you. In the Wall Street Wildlife King of the Jungle portfolio competition, we have one portfolio that has a return on equity right now of close to 300%. It also has 100. I'm sorry, if I do it properly, and by the way, this just started 2 years ago. Not even. We're not even 2 years into this contest. So I have a portfolio that has returns of 69% on one of the positions, 300%, 100% on one of the positions. Another is up a shocking 670% in the same portfolio. And as though that's not enough, there's another position that's up over 1,000%, all within 2 years in the same portfolio. And the other portfolio is winning by $3,000.
Exactly.
Pop quiz. Which is which, and how in God's name how in God's name did this obscenity happen? Oh my God.
Our Patreons are weighing in. Barry says that's ridiculous and mind-blowing, and Chris tells us that's insanity. What a setup from Slow and Slothy. You're right. Like, this has been. I think I always like to be like a little bit of a humble badger, even though I may have made comments to the contrary in the past. Like this has been a market where it's been hard not to make money. But if I'm like my real life, my retirement portfolio, you lectured me on what I should call it. I'm doing like a 22% compound annual growth over a long time, over many, many decades. But here in the King of the Jungle, we're investing live. And if you're on our trades channel, then we're telling you like in real time, usually ahead of the trade, what we're about to do. And you can follow along. And if you're not on the Patreon, that's cool, right? Just, you'll see, we talk about this stuff on the podcast every week. So just subscribe, and we're telling you what we're buying and what we're selling and why. And yeah, like I'm in the King of the Jungle, I'm doing a 69% compound annual growth, which is insane. And you're doing 98% compound annual growth. Like, this is just off the charts.
Yes, and I really want to be on the record to say this. These kinds of good times will not last for forever. And this is precisely, I mean, this morning, actually, just this morning, I woke up and iron is down 15%. And, like when you start seeing big red numbers, it really can get scary. It gets scary for everybody. But I think it's important to note that how we handle the downturn and how we handle when the market turns, to not get scared out, to not panic sell, to think of alternative strategies to actually take advantage of the downturn. That is as much an important part of the game, if not more important actually, than enjoying the ride up. So, public service announcement to you all. You will become discouraged when you see some of these astronomical gains go away, but do not leave the game. It's like, as they always say, time in the market is, it's time in the market something, not market timing, but time in the market, right? I think that's
time. It's time in the market, not timing the market.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Eric. Yeah,
right. Yes. Amen. Yeah. Amen. But anyway, surprise. So actually, in honor of this particular moment in time, I went out, Monkey Dunn went out and got himself a new cap, because this was just too perfect. So I think this is the time to show it off. Here it is.
What about that? A business monkey, yeah.
Monkey business.
He's all about the business.
Monkey business. And check it out. It even has little stock tickers at the front of the rim, and a little stock ticker thingy in the back. But I was like, damn, if I don't get this thing right, it's so anyway, I'm I'm putting this bad boy on. Look at this.
Look at this. It's pinstripe. It's pinstripe. What are the tickers? There's some tickers on the brim, you told us. We can't quite see it.
Oh yeah, it says EOS, ASTS, Iron over here. You know what it does not say? You know what it does not say? Greg's sausages.
If you're not in the Patreon, let me give you like a bit of an inside joke today. So Greg's sausage rolls, which Christoph loves to rip me about, but I'll take it. They pay a nice dividend, and Barry was kind enough to share a picture of his Greg's sausage roll order he got for today's show, in readiness to steal his iron arteries and deal with our shit for like an hour or two of live streaming chaos. And then Christoph replies with the strictest thing I've ever seen. It was like it came from the chief administrator of his university, and it's like, I'm really sorry, we've had to ban someone from the community. And he was trying to be funny about the sausage rolls, but me and Barry were like, shit, what's happened? Something's gone down.
One, I was not trying to be funny. I was funny. And two, it is serious. You post that kind of vulgarity again, and you see what happens, friends. FAFO, as the young kids say these days.
Hey, let me share in case you're not on the YouTubes, we had a message from Slow and Slothy in the live stream that I really like. In many ways, the last few years have been great. Luckily, my portfolio was small at the time, but didn't feel as painful as it would now. But suffering through negative positions for almost 2 years and now being rewarded with crazy growth has been a lesson for me. So yeah, absolutely slow and slothy. Like we celebrate when it's the good times, but also this is when we have to be aware because we gotta, you want to steel yourself because we're going to get the bad times again at some point.
I mean, that's the thing about waves, right? I mean, that's really how I think about it. It's not bad or good, it's just how the world works. Everything in physics is made of waves. I mean, it's kind of weird to think about that. And the stock market is no different. So, yeah, you go up, it's going to go down, but then hopefully the highs are higher and the lows are higher, and you just keep going up and to the right over time. But sorry, I need to say this just one more time. It breaks my heart, Badge, honestly, from all the years doing this, as you know better than anyone, how many people, in terms of like percentage, actually drop out of the market because they consistently enter during one of these peaks, and then as soon as it crashes, they give up and they can't tolerate it. And I mean, and then the institutions just make money hand over fist because some of this stuff is orchestrated, right? The institutions can make the price go wherever the fuck they want in the short term. And so they scare people out. And then, and if there's one message I wish everybody would really spread to your friends and family members or people you just shoot the shit with, it's like, come into the water, the market's fine. Uh, you're gonna lose. Things are gonna drop, but we promise 5 years, 7 years from now, you're gonna have much more than you have now. So spread that gospel out, animals, please.
Hey, something else that is going up and down? It turns out, so one of our Patreons is a pilot, and Barry, I think, has got Stephen, or he's got his plane right now on like flight tracker. So Barry's just given us an update that Stephen is over Frankfurt and landing in 36 minutes. I was playing tennis a couple of days ago with my buddy Adrian, who's also a pilot for BA, and Adrian's like, yeah, like you can't be joining like live streams when you're flying, mate. So yeah,
He's one of our most active members, often offering a lot of excellent pointers and due diligence, and I think that's really another strength of doing things in the community like that. So bless your heart, Stephen. Can't wait for you to join us on this stream.
don't crash that plane because we want some more like ASTS recommendations from you over the next 10 years, buddy. Yeah. Should we turn to a bit of was there any more
No,
for
it was
pop quiz?
just
Was it
no, it
like
was just
that was it? It was like pop quiz. Who's winning? Yeah, you are. Oh, well done.
I just had to squeeze your shoes a little bit. That's all.
Let's turn to some Q&A, Christoph. Let's turn to some Q&A. So we've got a bunch of questions by email. Thank you so much to you guys who submitted some questions. Also, we've got a couple from Stephen here, so we can answer his questions while he's flying. We've also had a bunch of questions live on our poll, and we've got them coming in thick and fast on the live chat. Let me hit you with a couple of these, though, as well. Well, actually, so sort of questions and like comments, really. Christoph, what is the biggest mistake you've made in your investing career?
You might think it was going in with all those call options on EOS, but you would be wrong. I earlier in my career made a devastating margin move in that. I mean, and one of the things we talk about very openly on this show is the reason we feel we're qualified to help people and guide them by principles is because combined, you and I have probably made all of the mistakes, and I used margin when I didn't know. Well, I knew, I knew, but it was theoretical until it happens, and then you have a major crisis, and all of a sudden the bank wants its money, and you're completely fucked, and it's just the most heartbreaking thing in the world. So I would say that lesson, just and why we have the principle: do not use margin, basically ever. And if you do use margin, because sometimes, I mean, I even like hesitate to say like, you know, if you ever do it, it needs to be a tiny smidgen of your account where you're just sort of like weaving in and out, but you would never have difficulty paying it off or anything like that, right? But so that's my
Good one, good one. And I've got a more techie question for you as well. And I don't know who these questions are from because these are from the poll. But anyway, anonymous submitter. It's a good question. Where does Monkey get his initial ideas for companies to research?
I would say combined from the fact that I read a lot, so I try to just keep my mind open from across different disciplines and stuff. Maybe that's not a very fun answer, but this is interesting. You know how you were schooling people about using X as a really sophisticated tool? I'm totally with you on that. But we have a divergent strategy for, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, for how we use it because I deliberately follow like 2,000 accounts, like something way more than I would ever, methodically do. And I do that specifically so that when I click on that feed, I actually won't know what I'm going to get. And it's from it's a very diverse field of new info coming at me. And then over time, I curate what I begin to sense is there and like somebody, a smart person talking about this thing that I never would have found on my own. And then I curate and develop, I study and then I filter and then I say, okay, this is a good place to look. So that would be my main answer before today. Back in the day, I used to be on the Motley Fool discussion boards.
Like there's one board in particular. I feel like I've really outgrown the Motley Fool, but I started in the Motley Fool. Like I used to read your stuff. You were writing as CMF Monkey. Like you were quite an influential figure on the boards, like way back to the 90s. And I really enjoyed reading your stuff for like the 20 years before I met you. But one board I've really gravitated to now, subsequently, because I've definitely feel like I've outgrown the Motley Fool seriously. But Saul's board has always just been a collection of very smart folk doing really, really good quality due diligence, and it's free. Like I highly recommend checking out Saul's board on the Motley Fool
Yes,
community. It's really good.
absolutely. And it's the same point again, but I think it's really worth making. It's astonishing. Human beings got to where we are, right? Flying airplanes and submarines and rocket ships because we work together. No one human could possibly build all this stuff. In this day and age, I think this is the real strength is finding the group of people that are doing legitimate work in a particular area and you will benefit together like magnitudes than you could ever do something completely alone. And this is why actually when I read some Wall Street analyst stuff, like on a company like, I don't know, I mean any company that you could tell it's just like one analyst like banging on his keyboard versus what the community intel provided, it's night and day. Like no one human could do what a larger community is capable of. So finding those little niches is so key. And I would say what you and I do combined on this pod is we filter through a massive amount of information that otherwise it would just be way too much. Slow and Slothy asks, I'm sure by now investing will be something you both do until the end of days. How long do you think you will both continue with the podcast? And Luke, specifically, do you find the podcast a strain on your semi-retired lifestyle at all? How hard is it to
I
put
love
up
this
with
question.
Monkey on a weekly, consistent basis, Badge?
It's a delight. It's a joy, right? This is just the most fun thing I do all the time now. Like I say this to close personal friends often because I'm trying to encourage everybody else to kind of, a bit like just sort of follow the same path if they can. And I'm investing for their kids because I want their kids to have the same kind of freedom. But like I retired when I was 49, and I was lucky I had like a good job that allowed me to like put a lot of money into my ISA over a long period of time, and then 22 years and 22% CAGR, like the money got there. But you don't just need money to to have a successful retirement, you need a purpose in life. And I've always been one of these guys who goes out and like finds their own purpose. But like I just sort of discovered podcasting, I suppose, with my buddy Albert in 2020. And then I joined Seven Investing, and we had to sort of close down that podcast, and Albert got like obsessed with other stuff. And then you and I started podcasting, and now we've got Wall Street Wildlife. Like, this is my purpose in life right now. And I don't see it changing. Like, I think about this topic all the time, and I love trying to study the world and understand the world through the like investing eyes. We used to call it like our old podcast was telescope investing. It's a bit hokey, but we said like the telescope lenses, all the different lenses you sort of look at a company through to analyze it. This is such an interesting way to think about the world and think about the trajectory of society. I will always do this until my brain rots and I can no longer like think straight and just like peeing my pants and stuff. And the fact that I get to do it on a podcast with someone like you is incredible, because it means I'm not just like trying to talk, persuade friends who are like the investing curious, or they're just like humor me and then have a beer and then go back and do whatever they're doing, like get back into the rat race. Someone who's also interested in this thing and is interested in the same kind of companies as me. Like, yeah, like this could not be better for me. So to answer Slow and Slothy's question, like I intend to do this for as long as Christoph will have me. And if he dies or buggers off or does something else, I'll have to find myself a new podcasting buddy, and we'll carry on. Yeah, it won't be Wall Street Wildlife, it'll be something else, but we'll grandfather you in if you're a Patreon. I'm going to be doing this until I can. Until I can't
That's an
think
inspiring answer, Badge. And I know it's true, right? I mean, I know it's true, and it's really good, right? Your reasons are multi-layered. It's good for your portfolio, but it's also a kind of, you have a mission on top of that you do through this. And I think that would be my answer, is that second part. I have a very strong interest in philosophy, and I have a very strong interest in what I would call personal cultivation and spiritual growth. This might sound a little goody-goody or squishy, but basically helping the world be a better place. And I'm beginning to be more and more convinced that, we have to find our individual talents and then do things the right way through mediums that present themselves to us. So instead of becoming, I'm not going to be a Mother Teresa. I'm not going to run a, say, food kitchen as a kind of very maybe caricature version of what doing good in the world is. But if I can make a big difference in somebody's life because they were able to make more money in order to live a better life for themselves or their kids, that is through the right kind of principles and through the right kind of attitude and through the right kind of, call it human touch, then I think it's in a sense doing the Lord's work in this way. And that's why I intend to be in this for the long haul as well.
Excellent. Good. We just both need to not die, and then we're great. We'll carry on compounding and king of the jungle.
Right. Well, you have a motorcycle habit, and you have a downskill skiing habit, and what do? I just go and fight grown men who try to kill me every day. Like.
There we go. And you're married to an Italian, and they're fiery, right? So she might.
Yes, yeah. One day I could say something very, very wrong.
Well, you guys asked us some questions, and like keep firing away with questions in the live chat if you want us to answer. And if we missed one, like hit us with it again. But we asked our Patreons a bunch of questions as well, and I thought I'd just reflect on a couple of those. We asked what was over the last 100 episodes, what was the best stock pick or piece of wisdom that we shared. Stephen, who's probably taxiing the plane right now, told us the best piece of advice wasn't one particular thing, but just being constantly reminded of solid investing practices. I think he's talking about me there, telling him about all the solid stuff. Get the crazy ideas from the monkey, and then like the discipline from the badger. Barry, who's here, but Barry, I'm going to out you as well because you emailed us. Uh, he fessed up to buying Novo Nordisk just because the stock had gone down, and I gave him a bit of a badger claw to our Patreon and said, Barry, you might be that might be the right thing, but you're doing it for the wrong reason. Do your due diligence. So yeah, Barry, you got in trouble with the badger, but that's a good lesson learned there, hopefully. We also asked what are the most dangerous dinosaurs in either of our portfolios that might go extinct in the next 5 or 10 years. So Stephen thinks that Tesla is strongly overvalued, and Musk going completely nuts with his extreme right-wing conspiracy theories. Yeah, that could get ugly. And essentially, I don't know if he's saying it's like a dinosaur, but he's like, I believe there's better opportunities out there than Tesla, and it's strongly overvalued.
I'd like to counter Stephen. I just disagree with that sentiment, and I'm trying to not confuse my political leanings or whether I like him or not by stating clearly I think he might be the world's most talented entrepreneurial genius maybe of all time, and he has more access to capital than anybody, and he's living in this moment of AI transition where he's developing these robots. And that's why Tesla is still on my potential 10x even from these levels list. So uh, overvalued is a tricky thing because maybe in this moment, right, with car sales kind of dipping, but if you think 10 years out, today's share prices might be peanuts to what it becomes. So sorry, Stephen, but that's what makes a market. I know Stephen really does fucking hate Elon. I mean, he has good reasons.
Barry says Stephen fucking hates Elon. Full fucking stop. Because Stephen is like Mister. I've got everything I own in ASTS. Like
Right,
fuck off
that's right.
Starlink. That's why.
Yeah, there's a motivation there. Yeah.
There's a lot of bleeping there. Sorry, editors. Yeah.
Paulo said
Which
Coherus is not long for this world. It either folds or is bought out. Interesting you say that because recently there's been more data coming in about one of their targets, CCR8. It's starting to really light up across the industry. It's a cancer target. And yeah, Coherus has a very, very promising drug in line of sight. So I don't think it's going to fold because it has lots of, it just has plenty of cash and it already has money coming in from another approved drug. But I absolutely think it might be bought out for hopefully a huge premium from here because it's a tiny little baby. So it could 10x just if somebody buys it for $1 billion. And so, but yeah, good call, Paolo. We'll see. I doubt it. I think you're right. I doubt it exists as a standalone company like in a few years.
just tell me one last time because I've got my January 2026 call options on Coherus, two of them, and the deep one is just in the money now, and one is deeply out of the money. What do I do? Just like
Your
simple that?
best bet, honestly, would be to roll them into future dates.
And no, it's not on my radar. I'm not going to own Coherus again electively. I bought it like an idiot. Well, no, that's unfair. I bought entertainment positions in a bunch of your companies. Like Upstart did really well. I made like a ton of cash out of that. It was in my entertainment portfolio, did pretty well, and that's covered the losses on all of the others by some margin. But yeah, like I'm sitting on a loss with Coherus, so I'm not going to buy more Coherus. Keep the option or keep it closer to expiry.
It's just that the data that we're looking for is not going to happen until probably first half of 26, and so your options, unless the market sniffs something out about this particular cancer target and bids up the shares in advance, then I think you might expire worthless.
All right. Well, looks like me and Paolo are still holding Coherus in our fund money allocations, so we'll see how that plays out. Christoph, we had a couple of entries on. We asked our Patreons which company do we think in 5 years will change the world more than any other. What kind of entries do we get on
Yeah,
that?
guess who says biggest world changer will be hands-on, no doubt, ASTS. and currently only 10% of the world has internet coverage. This will open whole new markets of Internet of Things and other TAMs which fit perfectly in the AI revolution. There are plenty of served locations with bad connectivity around the world, and on top there are all the defense applications to assist with tracking missiles, amongst others. I think Stephen is really onto something. It's why it's such a huge position for me. I mean, revolutionizing communication in a way that is like a whole leap forward. And they built this thing from first principle technological principles, making the whole planet always on, so to speak. I think could have repercussions that are absolutely mind-boggling, and for the better. Talking about those areas in the world that just, are still in the third world, so to speak, or maybe second world. It's going to make a huge difference to many, many people.
I'm going to call out Barry's answer because I own all three of his nominated companies. Barry says the company that's going to change the world the most in the next 5 years, he's got three: Alphabet, Nvidia, and Tesla. He likes those three. I agree, Barry. They are world changers.
Unlike another company in your portfolio, which I'm glad. You know what? I realize I'm so glad you gave me this gift that will keep on giving, because for all the shit that I had to put up with over basically half of my portfolio over the first 3 years, the fact that out of thousands of companies that are doing the most incredible things on this planet, you chose to invest in fucking disgusting sausages. Is just like, this will be a gift that just keeps on giving. So bless your heart. Greg's the world changer.
I had to throw you a bone. It's my barbell. It's the barbell. I've got.
It's a strategy, all right. And then let me get on my rant just for another second. Then we have innocent babes in the wood like Barry who see this thing in your portfolio and they show up to our community with a goddamn Greg's sausage roll display. Oh my God, the horror. Barry, this is how you make up for that slip in what I could only call consciousness. Get that lovely wife of yours to make you a fantastic cannoli, and then you take a photo of that and you upload that to our community chat, and then all your sins will be forgiven.
Great stuff. Do you guys both have Italian wives? That's wow, very good.
Even the homeless person on it.
Shall we move the conversation forward, Christoph? Because we did also ask our Patreons what's been the funniest moment in the last 100 episodes, and there was one very consistent nomination from many people, and if you didn't catch it, it was a bit of an excerpt from one of our episodes, 50 episodes ago. But anyway, here it comes. Shall I just ask you that question then? Oh, what? Holy hell! What the hell? That's on video. What just happened?
Claps. A clap. Oh, in the book stacks.
Oh, listeners, if you're on, get on the YouTubes. That's completely unplanned. So if you've never seen Christoph's office, it's this multiple enormous stacks, like towering volumes of books, and then one like thing of whiskey. I've been in that office. Like, it's beautiful, it's chaotic, and yeah, you just had like a complete like Walmart.
It's not chaotic. It was all stacked on tall piles, which are not chaotic.
Yeah. So if you caught 50 episodes ago, we were just chilling out, shooting the shit, and we were sort of prepping for the next segment. And suddenly, like, the heat, you've seen Christoph's office, and I've been there, it's beautiful. It's like whiskey and like erudite tomes from incredible writers. And like, I can guarantee, like, he's read every book multiple times. I flicked through a couple and all the corners are bent over and there's all sorts of like notes everywhere. This guy is a reader. as he likes to tell me I don't read. Anyway, the son was sitting on these books, and I guess they must have heated up because we were having a spicy conversation, and this huge stack just collapses, and there's like a bearded monkey going, "Oh my god!" Like this is more admin than
Yeah,
even
that is
Badger
the
could
bane
give
of
me.
my existence, and I don't want to go into details, but I have several libraries across in my life at the office at the university, and then here in my home office, uh, and you can't quite tell, but those books are like three stacks deep, and so my God, like when I have to pull one out from, it's of course it's always on the bottom, so the rebalancing act gets tricky. Hey, Cole. Oh, but actually, one other thing. It was so funny. You were trying to contain yourself. You were like, "Holy fuck!" And then you catch yourself, and you're like, "Holy fuck! The bloody hell!" We're still trying to figure out, like, can we cuss on our own show, or do we have to be polite? Yeah, you were. Anyway, Cole also makes a good point. Transmedics as a company that can really change the world for the better. One of Monkey's King of the Jungle Holdings. Absolutely love this company. Good point, Cole. If you haven't done some research on this, please go ahead. It's really inspiring what these guys are doing.
I totally agree, and I wasn't going to go there because we sort of went past that segment. But Cole raised it, so I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there because I wondered if you were going to ask me about like the dinosaur, which is the dinosaur in the portfolio, the one that could be extinct in 5 years. And I love Transmedics. I've got a decent. We've both got a 1.2% position in it because we talked about that in episode 99, and we both want to add to it. And I looked down my portfolio, thinking maybe Christoph is going to ask me this, and I'm like, actually, of everything in the portfolio, that's probably the one that's most likely. Like it might be like a 1% chance, but it's still most likely to actually not be here in 5 or 10 years' time, because there are alternative technologies to transplanting, like taking essentially, like your company is taking organs from corpses, transplanting them in a really incredible way, and putting those organs in live people. It's a bit fucking medieval, isn't it? Let's be honest, right? There must be more Star Trekky ways of keeping people alive than literally like taking dead organs and putting them in you and trying to keep them alive desperately while the corpse rots around them. Xenotransplantation, like taking organs from animals or just growing stuff. Like there's a bunch of sci-fi technologies that might like knock these guys out of the water. Nonetheless, I own it. I'm going to add to it. Like I'm not knocking your recommendation, Cole, but I always try and think about the downside, the
Yeah,
bear
in this
case.
case, you're wrong, Badge, and that's because we're still biological creatures,
Yep.
and these guys. It's sort of like manufacturing. Some problems you still need physical things, and these guys are innovating in the transportation network itself by buying the planes. And I'm not going to go over the thesis itself, but I think because they make physical things, and physical things require immense uh, infrastructure buildup, that they'll be perfectly safe and fine. But you know what won't be? In 5 years'
Yep.
time, I'm calling it right now that most of the companies that were the best sellers in the SaaS world of the 2020s are going to be gone. One way or another. I mean, lawyers are going
Yep.
to, I mean, so many people are going to be out of not only jobs, but the way that companies are going to integrate AI. Uh, if I'm now holding any pure software company, I would be shitting my pants. Like, it's seriously, because, like, for example, this is an interesting test case. Like a company like Monday, we've talked about it. I used to own a huge slug of it. All software, right? Really great product. Now it's selling for a little bit of what we would call like a discount to, it's cheaper. It's one of the cheaper SaaS companies. Uh, I think that's for a good reason, because it's in a kind of soon to be discovered existential crisis. So, and that's why, I mean, right now, CrowdStrike is another one where I know, like, I get the other side that cybersecurity can't be, done without. But I'm still putting like three asterisks next to even a company like CrowdStrike.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think my rationale for why CrowdStrike will be immune, much more so than everything else that's SaaS, because I totally agree with what you're saying, is that like CrowdStrike is the excuse for the CTO or like the senior tech guy when an organization gets breached. And if like, if they built their own cybersecurity with an LLM or something, or did something non-industry standard that wasn't like a Gartner like quadrant leader, that guy gets fired when shit goes up, like when the shit hits the fan. And so probably for that, poker player reason than any other, like you're a dummy if you don't buy industry leading solutions in this sector.
Don't be a dummy. Bad. What's up with the Batman picture in your office?
Nice. Oh yeah, that was a question from Stephen. You guys can't quite see it on the stream, but our editors will like fix the layout. Yeah, I got this picture behind me. It's an artist called Craig Davison, and if you Google him, he's got he does a whole bunch of stuff. He's pretty cool, like urban artist, and like a lot of his shtick is kids casting a shadow of like their hero or something. And one I really liked was this Batman one that's just over my shoulder. So it's like a kid in like a moody, like a raincoat or like a dark alley kind of thing, and he's casting like the Cape Crusader behind him. But yeah, check out Craig Davison. It's pretty cool.
Shall we check in on investing resolutions from episode 61?
Yeah, let's do that. Christoph's reading out of my docket, but if you remember, in our New Year first episode of January 2025, we made a couple of investing resolutions each. So I thought it might be quite fun to revisit our resolutions and see if we're on track, because we've still got, like another quarter, 3 months to shape up before the year is out. So let me take you through, we'll do one each. I'll take you through your resolution and then me mine. So your first resolution was do not sell
God
EOS.
damn it. For those dolphins who get to witness the trading channel, you now know that I sold 50 shares of EOS, and that's because for effing sake, it just was too big in the portfolio, and I mean, it just got completely outsized, and I wasn't gonna let that stop me. But then it gets so big, and I had this at the time fantastic place for the money, which was my Harmony Biosciences bet, which did not work out, and so I was like, I have to, but I should have kept to it. I should have kept to my resolution. I still have 400 shares though, so
No, you were good. You're right. Like it was a bad resolution, and I get the spirit of it. Hold your winners, don't sell your winners. But you have such massive overexposure. Maybe some of this badger bureaucracy and discipline is rubbing off on you because you're starting to rebalance a bit.
maybe. Badge, you said you resolved to earmark an allocation of funds, emergency money, lifestyle expenses that will never be reinvested, and segregate out from portfolio tracking.
It's kind of I stuck it. Yeah, it's kind of a boring resolution. Mine are all really tedious.
Surprise.
Things, but essentially, mine was I've got realistically in my retirement portfolio, there is I'm 15% cash at the moment, 15% cash, and I'll probably never ever go below 5% cash, because then if I'm at 0% cash, and I got to pay a credit card bill, or the mortgage or whatever, or like a vacation, like where does the money come from? So I'll never go below 5%, because that gives me like a bit of wiggle room in my lifestyle. So my thinking was maybe I should take that out and just stop counting that as part of my CAGR. But I thought, no, screw it. Like this is the reality of how I manage my money. I'm trying to be transparent. So I've actually decided probably not to do that. I'll just be transparent. I know my CAGR is worse because of it, because I got this money which I'll never invest.
Good problem to have.
So be it. Yeah. Christoph, yours was there you go. Yours was an admin-y one as well. Your second one was you should have fewer tabs open at once while doing research.
I have all the tabs open on now multiple monitors. Next question.
How many tabs you got open
Do
right
you
now?
think I could count that high? Uh, 50 on this screen, 40 on this screen. It's a disaster. Next question.
Okay. I mean, I don't even want to show you I curate my bookmarks. Everything is just beautiful. It's all so organized. My inbox
Yeah,
zero. I'm
maybe.
always at
Although
inbox zero. Right.
I
Go on. Ask
will
me what.
add the point. I don't think we talked about this previous episode. I resuscitated an old iMac 27-inch screen, and I hacked a fancy software solution that allows it to be used as a second monitor. So I now, and on this monitor are giant trading charts, like the stuff that Badger squeezes my shoes about. And so anytime, you walk into my office, I look like that guy. I am now officially that guy. I'm that guy that has all the monitors, all the tabs, all the squiggly lines and bar charts and fucking things bleeping at me. And so I don't know. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, but I'm that guy now.
So you didn't
I
close
just
your
bought more.
tabs. You
I
just
did the
bought more
exact
monitors.
opposite. I could not have. Oh, I feel this is bad, but it is what it is. Next year, I'll clean up my act. Whereas you said you would ramp up your VC allocation and start tracking more publicly. How's that going?
Yeah, going all right, actually. Going pretty well. I've invested in Whoop. I talked about that a few weeks ago. Invested in something called Vibranium, like a sort of AI in software engineering. I've invested in SpaceX in the last year, invested in a British fintech startup. I've still got my investment in a lingerie company. So, yeah, I'm ramping up the VC stuff. Like, we call it VC. Like, some of it is crowd investing, some of it is through like an investing syndicate. Like last episode, or the Whoop episode, I think I talked about like how to be a private investor. And actually, if you're in the UK, anyone can do that. It's actually quite straightforward. I don't recommend it. It's like, if you've got like the Badger safe stocks, there's some fun in there. And then on this like thing, you've got like the other end of the thing, you've got like the monkey wild stocks. Well, like the private equity stuff is way past monkey and out the other side. Like that's
Yeah, don't do
ultra
this
risk.
at home, kids. So, uh,
Yeah. You got a recommendation? You got another resolution? How are you doing with this one? Because I don't want you to bust your ass. You said you would do more jujitsu,
yeah,
less running.
it's actually I'm not proud of this one, but I got old. Like I somehow got old, like in the last 4 months, where everything always hurts, and I was running up really steep hills in Sicily and doing all kinds of strength training. But when I was in Sicily and Europe this summer, there is no jiu-jitsu studio there, so I was just torturing myself in all the other ways. So there was no option. But since I came home back to Austin, I have not yet gone back to the jiu-jitsu studio and just kept working out in the other ways, in part because I was scared. I'm scared like a little girl to go back because that's the honest reason. Because these are monsters I'm fighting, and you take 3 months off, and uh, so shamefully, my jujitsu in this moment is lackluster.
Well, you worried me because like ages ago you said like you describe your class as like, like you wrestle or wrangle or whatever with these like big guys who have no skill, and then like you're the skillful one, but they got the strength and like the mass, and it's like still quite hard against like a big beginner. They could f you up.
I mean, if you really like, if you're a big giant human is attacking you, even if you're skilled, it's not like you're not going to have a twisted elbow, and I mean, I'll survive and I'll be fine in the end. But that night on the couch, like the bruises and the I mean, everything just hurts so bad. It's so yeah. Anyway, it's not for the faint of heart. But I will get my jiu-jitsu ass back in gear. You, meanwhile, said,
Great stuff.
say no, even more no, and declutter your life from admin and minutia. Even though you love admin and minutia.
Yeah, I do love minutia, but no, I'm ruthless now. This year, I'm really being ruthless. Like I say half seriously and half jokingly, like I want to live to 1,000, just because I want to, see what happens with like a 22% CAGR for 1,000 years. Like that'd be quite amusing. But like I value my time because obviously I'm not going to live to 1,000. I'll probably be lucky if I live past like my mid 80s. Maybe not even like past January ski season. Uh, so I'm ruthless with every hour now. And so that objective is achieved. But Katrina, my wife, is a bit unhappy because I have deprioritized certain like household chores that no longer warrant, badger a minute of my time on. So yeah, we're negotiating the cooking at the moment. I'm like, stop sending me these fucking. Look, Christoph, like the world has changed. I'm actually reasonably good in the kitchen. I enjoy cooking, but I want like a recipe, or I want, here are some ingredients, use your initiative and make something out of it. I do not want this stupid fucking video on Facebook that like I can't pause it and then someone's just throwing stuff in a pot from like an overhead view and I've got no idea what ingredient and how much, what quantity and what they're trying to achieve. And then there's no instructions. I have to like rewind. Oh, give me a recipe. You want me to cook, Katrina? Give me a fucking recipe and I'll cook. Or give me the ingredients and I'll just deal with it.
In a non-related item, though, to go back, you thought you would sneak this by us, but this private investment in the lingerie company, like I'm just picturing, see-through leopard skin tighties or thongs or whatever. Send the link over. Let's investigate the good. There must be a reason why you invested in this company. So don't.
It's they're called Blue Bella. They're struggling a little bit because actually tariffs have smashed them, but they were looking really good. And no, not just like looking good, like they look good. I met the founder, this lady Emily, just super smart, young, very go-getting. And then I just kind of fell in love with her vision for the company and her ability to execute this vision. So and I think they're going to get out of like tariff hell, but it hasn't helped. Anyway.
Okay.
I was sitting on like I did like a mark to market. I was like, I'm sitting on like a 3x, but now it's like underwater, I think.
All right. Well, send the link. Don't forget.
Like if to win this contest, you had to submit a graphic that tells a story, like a chart, an export from Fiscal AI that tells a story about a company and gives some investing insight. And you were like, we had a good conversation last episode. It was like, first prize is you win a pro subscription, $750, thanks to our partners at Fiscal AI. Second prize, everybody wins, which is like you get to play with
squishy banana.
Well, you get squishy banana, and you get the experience of playing with the damn tool and figuring the stuff out. So everybody's a winner. Everybody's a winner, but there can only actually be one winner. Now,
One winner.
we're going to go. Hey, Stephen just landed.
Oh, nothing, Stephen.
Hey, Stephen.
Nothing, but Barry tries to get himself kicked out of the community.
Barry's been tracking you. He's been live tracking your flight,
Yeah, you have
Stephen.
right.
He's
Yeah,
watching
you
you
have a
track
new
you.
stalker. Plus, there's talk about see-through lingerie, leopard skin lingerie. I mean, just your run-of-the-mill episode. Glad you're back on. Glad you're back safely on the ground, Stephen. Made it just in time for the big prize reveal.
So, we had a bunch of entries for our Fiscal AI contest. We have a top 3 we're going to share, and then we're going to tell you which our winner was. So before we get into the top 3, though, I was naughty, and I picked one out that I think is like honourable mention. We're not going to say who all of these came from, but if you see your graphic, you know you made it. So honourable mention. Let me just do a screen share. I'm hoping this works. Share. Okay, good. All right, editors, we're back. Sorry. Right. It didn't make the top three, I'm sorry, but I did want to give honourable mention to our submitter for Duolingo. There is one data point in this chart I really, really like, which is our submitter for this one did a custom metric of daily active users divided by monthly active users. And that is a kind of well-known but really good metric for understanding the stickiness of an app like Duolingo. Like I'm on 1,015 days, I think, right now. And I got the owl shouting right now because I've got to do my Spanish homework in a minute. Like it's a sticky app. And if you get in there and you're like a monthly active user and you like your streak, you become a daily active user. So this chart actually shows that picture quite nicely. There's the orange line in the middle of, I guess that 0.2 is like 20% of monthly active users are also daily active users since 2021, climbing up to, I guess, 35, 38%. So that shows like the increasing stickiness of Duolingo. That's a really good story. But good God, this chart, so much data. This is chart crime. 3 different y-axes. Oh my God. I'm sorry to submit this one. It could not make the top 3. But I really like that. If you only had just that data point, clear winner for me.
Yeah. Too much makeup on this pretty pig.
So much makeup. All right, let's come to our top 3 in alphabetical order, and then we'll announce the winner. So first alphabetical stock, Google, Alphabet. Google's engine room, how search funds the future. This is a really nice submission. I like this. The interesting data point, you have to kind of squint a little bit to see it, because we've got what we've got on this, and you've got to see this segment on YouTube to appreciate like the beauty of some of these charts and submissions from using Fiscal AI. But the really interesting data point is that cloud operating income as it inflects around 2023 from negative to positive, and then cloud, like GCP, Google Cloud Platform, starts generating like real operating income. And so, yeah, that's like a nice story. But like the chart is dominated by this huge bar, which is Google Services, which is like search, YouTube, Android. So it kind of squishes that other stuff down. But I like this chart. It's made our top 3.
And when I was looking at it, I got this. It had an impact on me where I could see Google as almost like multiple businesses, and I could see like the extent to which the purple bars represent their moonshots and how small they are compared to the the more public and well-established business. So proportions were very clear, and I kind of just felt like, oh, I understand Google better by just looking at the size of the bars. So thumbs up for that reason.
All right, our second entry that made it into the top 3 is Nike's Retail Nightmare. Great chart. Like, what's this one tell
Well,
us
it's
about,
showing
Preston?
us the comparison between operating margin in the blue and total revenues with percentage points. So to me, this is a chart that shows 2 important metrics in relation to one another. And the main idea here is that while revenue is basically, I would call it flat, or it's not even, but it's certainly not going straight to the right. So I would call it flat in general. But next to operating margin, you could see that operating margin is going down and to the right. And so any company that has revenue but dropping margins is in trouble. And you could see it so clearly with these numbers and with this visualization.
It's good. It's a good, clear story on the pain, the retail nightmare that Nike is experiencing, not has experienced, is experiencing. All right. And the third member of our top 3 is Uber. And we've got a couple of data points here, but the one that's really interesting is the gross margin compression. Because usually, as you get bigger and you grow and you become more efficient as a company, like your gross margin normally goes up. Like you get more efficiencies, and then you figure out, you renegotiate deals with suppliers. But Uber's gross margin has gone down, and that's because they're working in this like highly commoditized industry. But the submitter of this one had like an interesting story, like the post-pandemic surge in demand for ride-hailing services, like really helped the business, and they've focused on their core operations, strong cost discipline. They've converted top-line growth into operating profit, but even while that margin is coming down, because ultimately now, rideshare is commoditized.
Yeah. Well, if I
All right, so
may I
those are our
offer
top.
the one critique I have, because I really wanted to love this chart, and I think it's very good for the reasons you said, but it committed, I think, the same I call it design error as Duolingo, which is sometimes less data is more. And here, for my purposes, I didn't need to see all three of the lines that are basically going up and to the right. They kind of made, I mean, they just cluttered the chart. So had the entrant basically given me two lines, I would say, oh, that tells the story clearly and directly, and that might have been the winner.
But of our top three, who is the winner? Christoph and I most liked Nike's Retail Nightmare. Good, clear graphic, clear story on that operating margin compression and the struggles and the tough challenges that Nike is facing. So good, clear story.
Boom!
Congratulations to everybody. Thank you for all the entries. We only had time to show a couple. I really liked the Duolingo one. I'm sorry, but there was just too much data, so much chart crime. It made my eyes bleed. But you definitely had an incredible insight there with DAU over MAU. But yeah, Nike's the winner. And we didn't name any of the submitters and the protagonists of all of our entries, but we will name the winner. Nike was submitted by our Patreon Amped, AMT1, Amped. We do know his real name, but we won't dox him on the show, but he goes by Amped in the community. So AMT1, congratulations, you have just won $750 worth of Fiscal AI Pro membership for the next year, and then get active with it, use it in the community, share even more graphs with your super pro data, and educate us all. Give us some more really clear, nice stories like this
Yeah,
one. Good
and
job.
one point about this graphic world and this stuff, if you ever look at one of the most famous graphic depictions of all time, it's the map of Napoleon's march into Russia. And it's genius because you see it's just the size of the initial army is represented by thickness of soldiers. And then as the graph proceeds from left to right, you see that line just getting smaller and smaller in proportion to soldiers dying. So almost like one data point, but it's seen so clearly. And then today's age of overload of information, just too much. It's why I especially love the Retail Nightmare one. It was to the point, great title, tells you what you're looking for in the chart, and just a banger of clarity.
As a community, we're clearly barely scratching the sides of what you can do with Fiscal AI. So I think you and I, this is probably a good prompt for us to go a bit deeper on that topic over the next couple of episodes and show everybody how we use it. All right, Christoph, I have a special announcement for you. In fact, I have two.
What?
I have two special announcements for you. Katrina brought in a drink just now. I don't know if you saw that coming in live on the podcast. Do you
That
know what I
looks
have
to
here?
me like a rum-based Negroni.
You, my friend, are exactly right. This is a rum-based Negroni. I sent her the recipe while we were chatting live. I said, "Can you whip me up one of these, baby?"
Do
And I
you
got me a rum Negroni
do
with
you
fine
but
vintage rum.
I'm a little confused, but do you not remember how badly you squeezed Monkey's shoes in our earlier episodes when I dared suggest that you substitute gin with rum. You almost you tried kicking me off my own show.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm trying it live, and I can now say without any qualm, a gin-based Negroni is better. This is still a nice drink. I like all drinks. I'm friends with all alcohol, but the original is better. The original is better. Maybe I needed like a banana
Yeah,
in here, not
right.
like a
Bananas are
slice of
good in
orange.
everything. Badge, cheers
Yeah.
to you, my friend. Congrats on making it through 100 episodes with me, putting up with me.
Thank you, fella. We do have another small announcement. So, literally, I'm not joking. I'm not joking. Literally, while we were recording episode 100 live with our Patreons, we got our 100th Patreon.
Woo-hoo!
That's pretty fucking weird, no?
That is so cool. That is so cool. 100 episodes,
Yeah,
100 Patreons. That's pretty wild. I mean, that couldn't have been scripted any better.
yeah, yeah. There were many ways this could have fallen down if anybody like cancelled their membership over this 2 hour period, but we could see this one coming because someone. So let's call out, and I think we should send a special surprise merch gift to our 100th Patreon. So thank you so much for becoming a dolphin, Matt K. Excellent. Matt will be messaging you directly. We'll be DMing you in the community and let us know what kind of merch you'd like. You could have one of these fine Wall Street Wildlife t-shirts if you like. You could have yourself a Team Badger or a Team Monkey mug. Let us know what kind of merch. Thank you so much for joining us on the show and being part
Yeah,
of our
so
community.
wow, just really exciting. Can't believe we've been doing this for 2 years. Here's to many, many more. Yeah, it's amazing that this has taken on a life of its own, and uh, we're both really, really grateful to all you guys and all the ways you show up and tell us that what we're doing is making a difference. And it's lovely to make money, and it's also really lovely to make these kinds of relationships that otherwise could not have been possible. It's kind of wild, but thank you.
Now there is one more thing,
Oh
Christoph. I didn't tell
shit!
you about this,
Are
but
you
I will
pulling?
say
Are you tapping into your inner Steve Jobs?
there you go. There you go. Yeah, it's not a product announcement. It's just a bit of fun. Do you remember way back the very first bit of Badger bureaucracy around episode 1? And I said, well, we need to create like an advert. We need to create like some viral marketing. And so you and I put on some stupid t-shirts and hats, and we made like a couple of really bad YouTube shorts that we used for like, and we put a bit of like a couple of $100 behind them as a marketing campaign. Well, did you know there is a Wall Street Wildlife rap? I don't know if you guys have seen this. So here comes dropping live for you, Luke and Christoph, giving you the Wall Street Wildlife rap.
Ever been spit roasted by a gaggle of rhinos?
Investing be like that sometimes.
Don't be a noob
Make us your jungle lube.
when it comes to making it rain.
Your cash pile will grow insane.
WallStreetWildlife.com. Oh my God. That is public record.
Yeah.
Oh no, we lost Saul.
Oh no, Paul is unsubscribing.
We're down to
Don't
99
unsubscribe.
again.
Matt, we're cancelling your
Oh
mug.
shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, the things like a humble YouTuber will do. Christoph played ball with me. I don't know if that helped. I think the books helped.
We
I don't
now
know if
need
that
to
helped.
put our massive Google ad revenue from YouTube behind that short and get it further out in the world.
Yeah, yeah. We're now in the YouTube partner program. Thanks to you guys, we're earning a whole $1 a day. So this is it. Like Monkey's going to retire and join me in like
All
the
right,
savannah.
kids. Thanks
Yeah.
for joining us. Badger, are you ready to become a beast of an investor?
A reminder that the people on this program may hold positions in the companies that are mentioned. Buying and selling stock carries financial risk, which could include loss of capital. The views in this program should not be taken as personalized advice. Before acting on any of the information provided, listeners are encouraged to consult a financial or tax professional.